How to update firmware using HP Web Jetadmin. Select Device Management, Firmware, and then Repository. In the upper right side of the screen, click Get Images. If prompted to check hp.com, click OK. Please note, make sure to select specific printers in this step. Otherwise, all firmware image files for all HP printers will be retrieved, which will take a long time and impact server space. Browse to the location on the client machine where you want to temporarily download the firmware and click Next. Make sure the firmware version is correct and click Get Images. Wait for the firmware images for the selected printers to download from the web. The Get Firmware Images wizard opens. Select the images to import and click Next. Please note, images to import are indicated by a No value in the repository column. Confirm the selected images and click Import. Wait for the firmware to import into the Web Jetadmin repository. After the import is complete, click Done to close the Import Firmware Images wizard. The next step is to install the firmware. To check the current version of firmware installed against newer versions available, click All Devices and then check the Printer Firmware Severity column under the Firmware tab. A red X indicates that the firmware needs to be updated. Now, there are two methods to upgrade firmware. Method A. In the repository window, click Upgrade Firmware. The Upgrade Firmware wizard opens. Select the Device Firmware option and click Next. Click the device model header and then use the arrow button to add the printers you want to update to the right pane. When all the printers are selected, click Next. Select the firmware version from the New Version drop-down list and click Next. Click Upgrade. Wait for the updates to complete and the printers to reboot. Please note, do not interrupt or turn the printer off during the update process. The printers will automatically reboot when the update is complete. To confirm that the new firmware version is installed, click All Devices. Under the Printer Firmware Severity column, a green check mark indicates that the firmware is up to date. Another method of updating the firmware is Directed Update. To use this tool, go to All Devices and select one or more printers of the same model and click on the Config tab. Expand the Firmware menu and select Directed Update Create. Select the Directed Update Create checkbox and the Pause After Download checkbox. In the Firmware Path box, enter the URL from which the printer can download the firmware files. After downloading the firmware into the Web Jetadmin firmware repository, you can see the URL listed in the firmware repository. Enable Pause After Download if you want to control when the firmware will be upgraded. Now click on Apply, Configure Device. The device will now start downloading the firmware. Once the download of the firmware has been completed, Install Ready will be displayed in the Directed Update Status/Actions. Check the box labeled Directed Update Actions. Select the Install Radio button to install the firmware and then click Apply. Select Configure Devices on the Configure Devices pop-up wizard. While the Configure Devices wizard remains open, you can check the update status by navigating to the Status tab beside the Config tab. You can also check the device status by selecting Embedded Web Server in the Status menu and navigating to the Device Status page. When the update is completed, the Configure Devices window will display a success message with a green check mark. Select Done. You can also use the Automatic Firmware Update tab to schedule firmware updates automatically at a time of your choosing, assuming that a firmware file has been downloaded by the device using the Directed Update Create option.